secret could ruin your life if it got out? Story 1. Got busted with a lot of computers from my work, about 25K worth, and plead guilty to grand theft. They spelled my name wrong, wrong birthday, and I never gave them my DL or SSN. I don't remember it, I said over and over during my 90-day incarceration. That was 34 years ago, and I background check my name every few years with a racy heart each time. Nope, not there. Story 2. That I was a heroin addict in my 20s. Been clean 9 years, and no one I work with or associate with at this point in my life, besides wife, kids, and immediate family, realized that 10 years ago, I was an unrecognizable shell of who I am now. Oh wow, I didn't expect this to blow up like it did. Thank you all for the kind words. It definitely wasn't easy, and I still have a lot of baggage from that time of my life. The hardest part was cutting out all the people that I had been friends, using buddies, with for almost a decade. Soon as I stopped using, they quit hanging around. If anyone is anywhere on their personal journey and needs someone to talk to, or more importantly, someone to listen, my DMs are always open and anonymous. Sometimes I love you Reddit strangers. Story 3. When I was 11, a friend of mine tried to steal a candy bar from a store, and we got caught. We were told that we were banned for life. I went back in 40 years later and walked around like a boss. ETA. Thanks to the Redditor that reported me to UJOT Reddit Care Resources, for people who feel like they're in the middle of things and may not feel like they have a lot of options. It's good to know that I now have options. Story 4. When I was 11, I was told to take out the trash and I did. But, for context, my family had a grill with a box of matches next to it, and it was fall. But I burned some dead leaves for like 2 minutes. Then I stomped on them to put out the fire. But all did was push it right next to our house. And then the house went up the flames, and my parents had very well-paying jobs, so they were able to pay for the damages. But when the authorities came and firefighters put out the fire, they were wondering how it started, and the authorities suspected someone jumped to the fence and lit up the leaves to burn our house down. Our parents, scared for my life, moved somewhere else, and they lost the jobs and lost a lot of money moving to our new house, and for the next solid 7 years we lived, like... And my parents still do not know that I'm the reason they have to look like that. Story 5. One time in elementary school, there was this really big important test. I was out sick that day, as were a handful of other kids. Flu season. There were like 6 of us total who had to make up the test. We were put in a separate room and told to be quiet and focus on our tests. Our teacher would be checking on us very soon. A few minutes after she left, a voice calls out, "Does anyone know the answer to number 7? Next thing you know, we've got one kid looking out at the door while we all discuss and tell each other the answers. I think the teacher checked on us once after a while, but we were already mostly done, and at a lull. We all got A's and high B's. I know this isn't a life-ruining secret, but I've been holding that in for almost 20 years, lol. Story 6. A cousin of mine tried to rape me when I was young, and years later I tried to drown him with a hose. I put the hose at maximum in his throat. But when I heard my parents coming, I stopped. After that, I said to him, "If you tell anyone about this, I'm going to really kill you." But we didn't saw each other after that because his family moved to another state. Edit. Thanks for the nice comments. Yes, I went to a lot of therapy sessions for that. My family knew he tried to rape me, but they took importance out of it because we were both kids. I was 8 years old and he was 6 years older than me, despite that my parents hate him and his family. Story 7. Not a secret, but if a list of every intrusive thought I've ever had comes out, I'm screwed. Edit. I just wanted to make this edit BC. A lot of people took it the wrong way. I love everyone's advice and I'm very happy for the support. But on the other hand, I don't need help with my intrusive thoughts. I love them and they're incredible. I'm just saying I'd be screwed if they got leaked. Story 8. I'm mixed up in the fast food game. Sometimes I tell the homeless people around the corner what time we throw out the expired burgers so they can grab them from the trash. It's explicitly banned in our code of ethics that we sign when we start. Story 9. I have been on the verge of losing my job for several months now. In the meantime, I no longer have any doubts at all that I will soon be laid off and that I am very likely to be threatened with homelessness. Story 10. One time, I accidentally stole a pack of balloons from Walmart. I put it in my pocket and was going to take it out to pay for it, but I forgot and walked out with it. Story 11. I've been making 3D NSFW content for years, and during peak pandemic, it became my main income. Now it's both my wife's and my full-time job. Proud of the work, but it would ruin our relationships to family and friends if it got out. Edit. A few people have asked for the sauce, but it looks like the automat is deleting my responses with URLs. So if anyone was interested, the username we use for our NSFW content is UUBgrove, and our Twitter feed is you can find the rest from there. Fair warning, while what we do is lighthearted and comedy-centric, it is based on the breast expansion kink. Story 12. In 3rd grade, I cheated on my history exam. In 4th grade, I stole my Uncle Max's toupee, and I glued it on my face when I was Moses in my Hebrew school play. In 5th grade, I knocked my sister Edie down the stairs and I blamed it on the dog. When my mom sent me to the summer camp for fat kids and then they served lunch, I went nuts and I pigged out and they kicked me out. But the worst thing I ever done, I mixed a pot of fake puke at home and then I went to this movie theater, hid the puke in my jacket, climbed up to the balcony, and then I made a noise like this. Hua 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 ah. And then I dumped it over the side, all over the people in the audience. And then, this was horrible. All the people started getting sick and throwing up all over each other. I never felt so bad in my entire life. Story 13. I have schizoaffective disorder. Most people do not know outside of a few close friends. I don't tell people because they will use it as a reason to invalidate me. Even when I've opened up on here outside of the SCA sub, people have tried to infantilize me, or have offensively tried to tell me what's best for me, or school me about my disorder, as though I am not living with it, or as if I am not a functioning adult. The world likes to pretend it's becoming all woke about mental health, but it's not. So I don't tell people. If I were open about it, I think it would prevent me from getting jobs or making friends, and I think it would make people suddenly view me as incapable, as though they know best. Because people are fucking stupid. And watch things like A Beautiful Mind, and suddenly believe they know everything. Story 14. I put a little more than double the amount of salt called for in recipes when I cook for people or bring potluck. I never have to bring home leftovers, the dishes are scraped clean. My super secret food hack is salt. It won't ruin my life, but I might get the stink eye from family with blood pressure problems and my super health-conscious friends. Story 15. This is my first real post, but ever since I was young I had an overactive imagination and would want to share my thoughts and ideas with everyone. I was made of every time I did, so I kept to myself to the point where I disconnect from the world into my mind, where I created friends and conversed in my head with these characters. Which many times when I am silent, I'm just ingoring the world and listen to the world I made for myself in my head. So whenever someone talked about sports, cars, posting on Facebook, Twitter, etc., or even hanging out with friends I would not know because I just find it hard to speak to anyone. Story 16. I'm only working half of the time at work. I have managed to create a facade that makes it look as if I would work full-time on the project I was assigned to, but it actually takes only half of the time. Sometimes it gets a bit stressful, but most of the time I manage to organize everything in a way that allows me to do anything but my work at the office. On home office days, I mostly play video games. If I get asked how it's going, I lie in deceit to make it look like I am fully tied to my work and the schedules and deadlines, etc. I got really good at this. I guess I could lie about nearly anything now and most people would believe it. If my coworkers or my boss would find out that I get paid for a full-time job while only working roughly 20 hours a week, I'd get fired immediately. Additionally, I live in a small town and that would probably ruin my reputation at any potential new job. I've been doing this for 2 years now. Edit. Alright, after getting some resonance, I realize I might be a bad person in my boss's eyes, but so are many of you. But hey, hate the game, not the player, right? Edit number 2. Just want to make clear that I don't feel bad for my behavior at all. I don't get paid enough to look for more work only to fill my 40 hours a week. Story 17. I nearly my pants in a Walmart but didn't quite make it. It landed in front of the toilet as I squatted midair. I ended up getting some on my pants and shoes. An employee walked in mid and commented that the smell was the worst they ever smelled and swore when he saw the droplets on the ground. I cleaned up as best as I could, but instead of leaving immediately, I kept on shopping. Story 18. That my uncle raped and prostituted me out for drugs when I was 7. I've tried talking to my parents about my mental health before, and it's always ended badly, so I just don't try anymore. If they found this out, I am certain they wouldn't believe me, would gossip to everyone about what a liar I am, and I'd be even more of a black sheep in my family. And if they did happen to believe me, I'm sure they'd find a way to blame me. Edit. Wow. That's all I can say. Thank you so much for all of your kind words, support, and belief. It's a very complex sort of situation with my parents and not telling them what happened. I honestly believe that helps my mental health. It'd be nice to know they'd believe me, but I've accepted it for what it is. Please know I have a wonderful psychologist, and though my mental health and trauma is something I'll always be managing, I'm slowly building up a support network outside of my family. From the bottom of my heart, thank you all. 3. Story 19. How utterly horrible I was to a former partner. He wasn't the greatest as well in his actions, being unfaithful and lying. But my words cut deep, and I still regret how much and for how long I lashed out at him. If I could go back, I would have left gracefully and peacefully. If the extent of it got out, I don't know if I would be able to redeem myself, but I'm taking it as a lesson. Story 20. I've kept on the down low. I used to be an alcoholic. I used to live in one state and move to another, so it made it easier. I went to rehab and detox after aftercare program. Afterwards, a sober home and my own apartment. But it's always a stigma if I let anyone know my journey. I'm 31, and honestly, it sucks because I want to break free from lying, but it's tough because I believe anyone I tell will judge me and not want to talk to me. It's easier to lie. And it's worked so well so far, so why fix what's not broken? But I also get how it can eventually catch up. Just stuck in the middle. Story 21. I've had more than my fair share of mental health struggles. Went for 2 years of inpatient therapy treatment, starting when I was 12 years old, and also had ECT when I was in my 20s. Thankfully, I've turned the corner and have an incredibly fulfilling life now. But I have zero idea how my current friends would react if they knew about the old version of me. Story 22. Nice try, Fed. In all seriousness, I'm the only person in my mother's will. She never told me why, and I don't think she ever will. Why would it ruin your life? My family is unfortunately a sack of petty money whores who happen to dislike me for a lot of reasons, the most notable being my sexuality. I don't know why she chose me, but she did. Story 23. I don't know about ruin my life, but as a rule, I'm not very open with people about my mental health issues. I had something of a paranoid episode about a year and a half ago, which couldn't really be kept to myself. But pretty soon after I fell out of contact with all of the people who saw me like that, as well as anyone who might have been told about it secondhand. I still don't know how I left things with that group of people, honestly. It was a bit of a haze from my point of view. All I know is that I haven't reached out to them, nor have they reached out to me. I just took it as a clean break and tried to move on. Story 24. I haven't told my parents, my husband knows, but I quit my job to become a stripper recently. I have more quality time with my family, I am more financially stable, I've gotten into better shape, and I don't have to worry about budgets or bills as bad. If we need something in the house, it can go on the monthly or the weekly list depending on severity. If Hubs needs a new project, I can give him his guy time. If my kid is sick, I can afford the medicine. I don't have to worry about money. And neither will my family compared to my childhood where I spent my time extremely worried about whether we'd have food, electricity, heat, or AC or tampons. It feels good to be in a stable home, and even if I am stripping to do it, I'm happy to be able to provide for my family the way I am. Story 25. Ruin not. More likely make fun of me. I have been chatting with an AI of a questionable individual who is now dead, pretending we are a couple. Otherwise, nothing too bad. Story 26. My ex-husband cheated on me in the worst way. He's high-rank military. If I told his command, he'd get kicked out. It wouldn't ruin my life, but would ruin my child's life. I can't afford health insurance, but he can. She would lose his benefits if I told on him. Story 27. Not ruining it, but my parents would be disappointed in me. I turned down a very lucrative job 3 years ago because it was in a city I didn't have the best memories of. I would have earned like 2-3 times I earn right now. My parents always encouraged me to strive for better paying jobs so I could be comfortable. Story 28. I pissed in the owner of the company's office in the corner like 3 times. The company folded and got sold, but was the worst cybersecurity company to ever work for. The CEO was just an angry, fat, rich kid. Fuck him. Story 29. When I was in kindergarten, we all had to go to a meeting where the janitor yelled at us for vandalizing the bathroom. You see, someone was shitting in the urinals, and that was insane. I just wanted to know what would happen, okay? Story 30. I don't think it would ruin my life, but my dad would be pretty disappointed if he knew how much meth I did when I was 18. I don't do it anymore, but I used to have week-long binges. So high and sleep-deprived I'd start hallucinating. I still think about it sometimes. I'm grateful I couldn't afford to use it anymore, honestly. I guess I just wanted to get that off my chest. Story 31. I'm disabled and almost dead broke, but everyone thought I made money in crypto, so no one will help. I never told anyone I didn't pull out and got smoked. I'm about to be bankrupt and homeless and kicked out if don't make a little over $1,000 in 2 weeks. Also made an attempt a month ago, still here. Unfortunately, the body is resilient. Story 32. I had a horrible compulsive lying problem when I was a teenager. My stories ran my whole life, in which I completely ruined it before it can start, and it made me worse in the head. Bottled up my feelings for many years, recently have been getting therapy and meds, and had chosen to ruin my life by admitting the truth to those I lied to. Some don't talk to me anymore, in which I understand. It felt good and also horrible to tell the truth. At least I don't do that anymore. If you have a similar issue, please talk to someone. Don't make it worse like I did. Edit. Yes, sometimes I get the urge to lie. I say the lie, and then correct it by telling the truth, throwing my shame on the table. Anytime I meet someone, I tell them my problem and swear to them that I will tell the truth if they ask me if I'm lying. Story 33. I worked at a Chick-fil-A, and I literally stole hundreds of thousands points from people that came through. I didn't do this because I wanted to, but because my family needed to eat, and it was a rough time. Literally would get $100, $200 worth of food for free. I felt bad, and I know it's not legal, but I did that. Story 34. An accidental deposit of $2,522.52. 93 in my ATM to be exact. Didn't know where it came from. I'll never forget that day I was on my way to work. That was 8 years ago, and up to now I still have over $1 million. Story 35. I'm a dude, and I like to wear 9-inch stripper heels with H-cup fake. I've got a hairdresser who does cross-dressing services for men, and sometimes I just splurge on her, making me look like a high-class female porn star while we pop some champagne and have fun. Pics of those nights are in my profile, for anyone curious. Story 36. About 25 years ago, I was introduced to amateur, making me 16 at the time. For many years, I got paid to have with a number of women. I introduced many girls and some guys at the time. My producer, he was making good money, and so was I. I shortly after became a really bad drug addict, strung out. But about when I was 28 years old, me and my girlfriend were dope sick, and she didn't know what I did for a living on the side. Well, I called him, told him I needed to do a film, so he told me to come. And as I started to do it, and he filmed towards the end, he got on his knees and offered me $500 more if I let him give me a... Of course I fought with this in my head, but me being sick and having to hurry up, I let him do it. It was the first time I knew he was gay. It really messed me up because I didn't want to, but I was like it. But after it happened, I kept it a secret for all my life because people would have assumed I was gay, and to this day I've held that inside. It felt good to let it go. Story 37. While I was driving in Alabama with a friend, we stopped to get snacks at a convenience store. I loved tuna, so I grabbed a can, but my hands were full, so I slipped it into my pocket. Somehow the police found out and caught us and accused us of murdering the cashier. I called my cousin, who is a lawyer, and he came down with his fiancée. They ended up getting us both off. Story 38. Wouldn't ruin my life, but when I got herpes, I didn't get it from sleeping around, I got it from being raped. Sorry I lied, Mom, but I'd rather you think of me as a than know the truth. Story 39. Had familiar relations with my friend's sister. Not that it's anyone's business what I do with my private life, but if that got out, I think people would look down on that. Story 40. I was shopping at Walgreens without a basket, trying to carry everything in my hands, and grabbed a king-size Snickers bar. When I got home, I realized I had put it in my pocket and not paid for it. I drove all the way back across town to Walgreens to pay for it. But I got hungry and ate it on the way, so I had trouble explaining to the clerk that I was trying to pay for a king-size Snickers bar without leaving with an additional king-size Snickers bar. I don't know if they rang it up or just put the $3 in their pocket. Story 41. Well, if I told you, it wouldn't be a secret anymore. But it's pretty obvious what it is. Hey, no one on Reddit has ever been able to guess my real name correctly. That's a hint. Story 42. My SO is okay with smoking weed almost every day. I try to stop myself from falling into that habit, but have noticed that I'm smoking more frequently. I feel guilt and shame at the thought of having this vice. I've always proud myself in not having some sort of vice in my 30 years of life. Story 43. This question always makes me wonder about the horrible secrets that people can't bring themselves to talk about, even in a semi-anonymous place like Reddit. The people here who have spoken up already have pretty intense secrets. Just imagine the secrets that go unshared. Story 44. Not sure I have a life-ruining secret, but here's something that would embarrass me for life if anyone found out. In 8th grade, we were taking tests. STAR, maybe? And as someone who's both shy and has selective mutism, I've never been able to raise my hand or anything. Anyway, I had to pee, badly. There was maybe 20 minutes left before the bell would ring, and I figured I could make it. I couldn't. It just started, and I could not stop. And I sat there, sitting in my own pee, which was also running down my legs. I just sat there until the bell rang, and people left. This one girl I didn't know stood at the door trying to get me to leave, and I think she knew what I did and was trying to make fun of me. Anyway, once everyone was out, my teacher asked what was wrong, and I started to cry and told her I had an accident. And she just said to wait there, and she got 2 other teachers and they literally guarded me in the hallway going to the office so no one would see my wet jeans. They gave me a change of pants, and then I went home. Shout out to those teachers, honestly, because I'm sure there are teachers out there that would just send you to the office and not guard you to save you from immense embarrassment and bullying. Story 45, that I've literally been in bed for years and I'm not sure exactly why. Of course it's not 24/7. I shower and do all the normal grooming things. I go out to get the things I need and come straight back to bed. Every single day. I've obviously got a bunch of depression and anxiety on top of crippling insomnia. I did therapy for a year or so a couple of years ago, but it didn't help a lot. My depression is medication resistant. So is my insomnia. Unless I just have to be out of bed, I'm not. And if I am, I can't wait to get back. I can't explain it. Story 46. I don't have secrets. I used to, but one day decided feeling guilty and ashamed for the mistakes I made or things I did in the past because I feared the judgment of others was only preventing me from forgiving myself. So I don't do it anymore. And you know what happens when you don't hide behind a veil of perfection and own up to your mistakes without making excuses for them? You create a safe space for other people to do the same. Then you realize that there are others that have done the same you thought made you a terrible person. I knew these were good people who made a bad decision, resulting in a mistake they learned from. If I could see them through that lens, then there is no reason I can't view myself with the same compassion. Story 47. I most definitely should really be in prison. Through a series of luckouts, I've luckily never been convicted, despite I was always quite honest with police about what I've done. I most certainly deserve a criminal record. I've only ever been charged once and was just given a caution for ABH. Though I've been arrested and at times released under investigation on bail for being under suspicion of various crimes such as kidnap, arson, GBH, and assault with a weapon, and threat to kill. I remember being told when I was 19 I could be looking towards at least 15 years for kidnap, assault with a weapon, and arson, though the person refused to press charges and failed to provide a statement, and the arson was supposedly minor enough on its own, given it was to my own property that ultimately I wasn't charged. Since then, I've realized I was incredibly lucky. I've moved to a completely different part of the country to be a better person. Now I spend a lot of time pondering how to be a good person. I can safely say I'm a much better person now. I've also since become a student and am planning on building a career now, being a much more productive member of society. Story 48. I sold weed, like multiple pounds a week, to pay for college. My parents think I got a scholarship and that's why I didn't take out more than like 10Ks in SLs. Just my first year. Story 49. I know my husband cheated on me during the pandemic. For some context, we were actually stuck apart for almost 2 years with COVID. And at the same time, I was also waiting for my green card, which meant I couldn't visit him. He overcame to visit me once during this 2 years and I saw he had a dating app on his phone. I checked the messages and there one lady on there, and it was obvious from the messages that they had met up for. It looked like it was only once and there wasn't a whole lot of messages. I never confronted him about it and I don't really want to. Since I've been in the States, nothing else has gone on, and he's super attentive and loving and no dating apps on his phone or computer. I feel that if I told him I know, or told any friends or family, they would push for me to leave him or think I was an idiot if I didn't. We have a baby boy now and I would never want to disrupt his family life over something which I perceive to be a one-night stand that didn't mean anything. Story 50. For like 3-4 years, I'd have some ramen cup barcodes and I'd put duct tape on the back of them and I'd go into Walmart at the self-checkout and put the barcodes on maybe 2-3 items out of the usual grocery haul that I'd buy. I've finessed at least 7-8 portable chargers for myself for 25 cents that were about $25 to $40 each. I have about 4 or 5 of them still currently. I used this method a lot during college days when I was struggling like everyone else, but the fam would send me $30 for gas and food. Story 51. I don't think this would ruin my life, but it would ruin my perception of me always being in control of my life. I'm pretty sure I was molested on a vacation with some close family friends, but I really only remember tidbits of the situation, and it's horrifying to think something may have happened, and one, I'll never know, or two, I'll have a flashback at random in the shower or something. What I do remember, we went to Mouse World, take your guesses here, with family and stayed at a hotel. At the time, I couldn't swim, so I was wearing water wings and a mask swimming around. As I was swimming, I noticed a guy just sitting in the corner, and there was something hanging out of his pants. I guess just out of stupid kid curiosity, I swam around to see what it was, and I didn't realize what it was. The family I was with were my cousins, but all were older than me, and it was with their grandma and their mom. I guess there was like a game room or something near the pool, and I remember somehow having money to play with. I can't imagine my cousin's grandma or mom to give me what I recall being a large stack of quarters. They were going upstairs to do something, and I said I would stay by the pool, and they let me. I was 8-10, and they let me stay in a pool, alone, knowing I couldn't swim right. Next thing I remember is walking to a room, but I can't recall if it was mine or not. And finally, being back in the pool what felt like hours later. I can't confirm as I can't remember specifics, but there are so many things that make sense and make me think something horrible happened there that I blacked out. I'm very much hypersexual, independent to a fault. I'm sexually aroused by men, but also I refuse to even consider them for a relationship in terms of emotional connection or sexual stuff. I have a strained relationship with my father. I can't have a functional relationship thus far, and my current one is working because it's a poly thing where commitment doesn't mean I'm the only person she relies on for affection. And above all else, the thought of being perceived as weak is my biggest fear. Like I said, I don't know, and hopefully I'll never remember, but 1 + 1 is adding up to 2 in my head, and it kinda sucks. Story 52. I'm actually struggling at uni despite my good grades at school, and I am all to blame. I should be studying, but here I am on Reddit. Currently waiting on my first semester results to know how fucked I am. Story 53. On my throwaway for obvious reasons. I grew up in a religious community and was molested by some church leaders. I am also certain I was molested by either my father or my uncle, but I think I blocked it out. I have scars on my body from cigarette burns from one of them, so I'm 99% sure I know which one. I was raped when I was 16 by a classmate, and it really messed me up for a while. And it still comes back to haunt me here and there because I've never gotten therapy for it. I gained a substantial amount of weight on purpose to get everyone to stop touching me. I lost most of the weight in my 20s. I haven't been in a relationship in 7 years because my last boyfriend died. I've grieved him, but I still haven't found love since. I want to, but I'm also scared of getting with someone awful. I have had therapy for this loss, but my therapist stopped seeing me due to an insurance mishap. Even after I got it sorted, he does not want to see me anymore. It's fine. I want so badly to get married, have kids, and finish school, but I don't believe that anyone will love me with my scars and loose skin. That's killing me inside, because I've come a long way, but I am horrifically lonely with this. I decided that if I cannot make this happen by the time I'm 35, I'm done with trying for love. I'll be 30 this year. I can't tell anyone this because of the lectures, and because I'd be considered all sorts of unstable. I want to have normalcy in my life. Also, I can't have my mother know this because I know she truly could not handle knowing that. She doesn't deserve to carry the burden of knowing how truly unhappy I am from time to time, and how some parts of my life have been horrific. She did the best she could, and she deserves to know she isn't a failure as a mother. She only knows about my boyfriend dying, and it was hard to see her worry about me. I tried to keep it together for her, but she doesn't know how much I really suffer. Seeing her break like that would ruin me. I don't need anything else to devastate me in this life. I also rarely talk about everything that has happened because someone I confided in tried to blackmail me with it. It was awful. I have done a good job handling everything, all things considered. I am not a criminal, I'm a nursing student, I have a job, and I think a lot of people surrounding me would be floored if they knew what kind of pain I have inside me because of how good I am to people and how I'm usually the one helping with positivity, etc. Hopefully someday, I can tell someone close to me again and have my wishes with it respected. Until then, it's only here in my lonely anonymity. Edit. Clarification. Added a few points. Story 54. My son's father raped me in 1994, and I haven't told anyone. My son is 26 and has reached out to his father, met with him yesterday for closure due to his absence. My son is in the military and I'm a very proud mom. He's a very well-rounded adult and mature beyond his years. I don't want to ruin or interfere with his decisions or communications with his father. His father is married now and has 2 daughters. It's not this that is keeping me from blurting out, "You fucking rapist boss," but my son's decision of closure with a man who abandoned him. I needed this off my chest. Story 55. Don't ever, for any reason, do anything to anyone for any reason ever, no matter what, no matter where, or who you are with, or where you are going, or where you've been. Ever, for any reason whatsoever. Story 56. Not sure about life ruining, but found out my ex gave me chlamydia. After a gyno appointment I went to for weeks of unbearable cramping and bleeding. I was tested prior to us getting together and didn't sleep with anyone in between then, so I knew it was him. And also found out a few people he had slept with prior to me had it. He kept blaming me and saying some fucked off, and we ended up breaking up. The relationship was definitely coming to an end anyways, so that didn't really hit me hard, but a lot of the he said to me towards the end did. Anyways, I got the antibiotics for both him and I. My best friend had taken them before and told me that they give you a horrid stomachache and the worst diarrhea imaginable. And it definitely did. So I waited for a day I was off work and could stay home to take them, which was like 2 days later. I was shitting every 5 minutes all day, so I give the antibiotics to my ex. I felt extra petty that day and told him that I would take the antibiotics before work in the morning because it had me wired and I was up all night. Not sure if he did or not, but I genuinely hope he himself at work.